$2.1 trillion. Not as a headline, not as a bill in Congress, not as a number shouted from a podium, as a quiet transfer printed in basis points, recorded in spreadsheets, and signed in the invisible ink of rising yields. While news focused on culture wars, the real money was doing inventory, repricing everything. House payments, car loans, credit cards, commercial leases. In a cold office, a trader doesn't need to yell. He raises a yield by 20 basis points and watches 1,000 doors quietly lock. A wealth transfer looks like your money simply costs more to exist. When yields rise, the price of the safest asset in America falls. Everything built on top of it shudders like a skyscraper, discovering its foundation was poured on sand. This is about your personal survival. The bond market is the bloodstream that carries price signals to everything else. For decades, the cost of money fell like gravity, was off. That era created a civilization built on cheap credit. Now the physics is reversing. A bond is a promise. Lend money now, get paid back later. When investors demand higher interest, existing bond prices must drop. That's how rising yields silently vaporize wealth, by crushing the price of bonds. Repo is the plumbing, where institutions swap treasuries for cash overnight. When prices fall, collateral values fall, funding becomes expensive, leverage unwinds. This is how the bond market becomes everyone's problem. Banks hold treasuries as safe reserves. But safe doesn't mean they won't lose value. For years, the Fed did QE buying bonds to keep borrowing cheap. But when inflation surged, the Fed reversed, letting bonds roll off its balance sheet. Who buys the mountain of new debt? The market demands a higher yield to absorb it all. That's not politics. It's math. In 1971, the U.S. severed the dollar from gold. The world moved to money anchored to policy and trust, a pivot into a debt-fueled empire. Low yields kept asset prices high, a beautiful loop, until inflation returns. History doesn't break softly, it breaks at the edges first. The bond market is supposed to be calm. When the adult room becomes volatile, it's because the building itself is shaking. Contrast the unprepared believing the old world is intact with the prepared, who respect the mechanism and understand that liquidity is king. Higher yields don't just raise costs, they expose lies. They expose which balance sheets were built on temporary low rates. Nations don't fail from one catastrophe, they fail from compounding. Yields are the price of time. Subscribe to see the pattern.